Curry splits the defense behind the back, fires a three. Oh, he puts it in.
It is obvious I have an incredibly deep bag of forgotten NFL quarterbacks, and, I purposely choose Kevin Hogan as my mascot of forgotten quarterbacks because he's my favorite forgotten quarterback, but we already talked about him in the first video. Let's start talking about 3 more forgotten NFL quarterbacks, and if you're wondering where I got some of the quarterbacks on this list, you guys have left me wonderful comments on the past 2 forgotten NFL quarterbacks videos, so a little bit of inspiration from you guys in the comments, and a little bit of inspiration from my special brain, so let's jump right into it. So the first quarterback in the thumbnail of this video is Brett Hundley, a 5th-round pick from the Green Bay Packers in 2015. He's currently still in the NFL and is drafted 147th overall by the Packers. He's a dual-threat quarterback coming out of UCLA, and people had some pretty high expectations for him after a really solid college career, but went in the 5th round of the NFL draft, and he actually spent his first 3 seasons as Aaron Rodgers' backup. His most significant action came in 2017, where he ended up starting 9 games for a injured Aaron Rodgers. And he, showed flashes of some potential, but consistency was a major issue for him as he ended the season with 9 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, under 2,000 yards passing, while, a meager 250 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Nothing great, nothing page-hopping. I mean, if you're throwing more interceptions than you are touchdowns, it is likely that you are not going to be a star quarterback in this league, but you could carve yourself out a solid role as a backup. Hundley would leave Green Bay and had stints for the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Colts. He provided that little bit of mobility and adaptability to different offensive systems, and it was kind of like a plug-and-play backup quarterback, but I think the biggest issue with him is I don't think he utilized his mobility to the best he could in the NFL, unfortunately. At the end of the day, Mr. Hundley would only pass for 1 more touchdown in his career after this season with the Packers and would end up throwing a few more interceptions. His journey is one of the classic backup, getting bounced team to team, having that one extended opportunity in the NFL, and unfortunately not really being able to do anything with it. A career completion percentage of 59% is okay. He appeared in 18 different games and started 9 of them, but he never really flashed with the opportunity that he was given, unfortunately. And Brett Hundley is just one of those cases of a what-if quarterback. And another one of those Aaron Rodgers backups that just, fluttered into obscurity. Next on our list is another suggestion from the chat, and honestly it was a great suggestion as this guy has really just fallen off the face of the planet, and I'm talking about Tom Savage, a strong-armed pocket passer coming out of Rutgers in Arizona and actually settled in Pittsburgh for college. He was drafted by the Houston Texans in the 4th round of the 2014 draft. He served as a backup, but actually had stretches as a starter. His most notable action came during the 2016 and 2017 seasons, where he got to start 9 games for the Texans due to, some injuries, a little roster turnover. And Savage showed, some poise, some toughness. He again struggled with consistency, the classic backup issue. And he had some, let's just call it, frankly, mixed results at quarterback. After his time in Houston, he did have some stints with the Saints, the 49ers, the Bengals, the Lions, but really he was only a reserve or practice squad kind of guy, nothing too crazy. Now again, just like Hundley, Mr. Savage was able to start 9 games. He appeared in 13. He did collect 2,000 passing yards flat, but only threw for 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Like I mentioned before, if you're having more interceptions than passing touchdowns, your chances of being a starter, a star, or even just a high-level backup continue to just dwindle. A solid completion percentage, though, 57.5 with a 72.5 passer rating. Nothing really jumps off the page here stat-wise for Mr. Tom Savage, but he did have some fun games during that 2016-2017 stretch where people may have thought he did have something to him, but unfortunately he was never really able to pan out in the NFL and really never got to show off that cannon like he did in college. His career reflection makes me think about the classic mid-round quarterback that would get a little bit of playing time but not really do too much with it. Kind of struggled to find opportunities and never really had a long-term role even as a backup. He did have some perseverance to stay in the NFL for a couple years, so I will give him that, and he is just a quite unspectacular quarterback with a lot more spectacular options across the league. You know, after reflecting upon what I stated, I think I do need to say something positive about Tom Savage. So let's talk about when the entire Texans stadium erupted when Tom Savage came in for Brock Osweiler in Week 15, Jaguars versus the Texans. This is like, oh man, this is like 7 years ago. This is like the 2016 season, yeah. Led a crazy comeback after benching Brock Osweiler. I mean, it was only like 13-0, but I feel like that's... No, I'm just kidding. That's not Tom Savage's most famous moment in the NFL. Let's be real. Tom Savage's most famous moment in the NFL is getting hit so hard on a concussion that he has a seizure and then going back into the game. That is the legacy that Tom Savage leaves. Having a seizure and returning to the game all in the same game. That's fucking grit right there. Now, last on our list is Chris Weinke, and Chris Weinke is a bizarre NFL prospect, to say the least. You know, he's the classic 6'4", 230-pound quarterback, big guy, big arm, and he was drafted in the 4th round, 106 overall, by the Carolina Panthers in 2001, but what makes him so special is he actually came into the NFL at 28 years old, and why was he 28 years old, he asks? Well, this guy was in the MLB for actually like a handful of years, and was actually a decent MLB player, hitting like over 60 home runs. Now, I tried to find footage of him in the MLB, but I couldn't, and I don't feel like scrolling on the page 100 of YouTube to find this dude getting a damn hit. So just take my word for it. And crazy enough, when Chris Weinke went back to college football, he actually won a Heisman Trophy in 2000 before getting drafted. He led the Seminoles to a national championship game appearance and then went to the NFL. Like I said, got drafted in the 4th round. And Weinke would actually start 15 games as a rookie in 2001, but let's just say he struggled with those games. Turnover machine. He had 11 touchdowns and 19 interceptions, and he only won one game out of the 14 that he started. Out of the 15 that he started, he only won one game. That's not exactly going to give you a high chance of becoming a star in the NFL, but frankly, he did a good job of sticking around. Even though his role diminished after his rookie season, he served as a backup and was actually able to last the NFL all the way through 2006, and then had a brief stint with the 49ers and a couple other teams before retiring from the NFL. Chris Weinke started 20 games in his career, and he had a career number of 3,900 yards, 15 passing touchdowns to 26 interceptions, 54% completion percentage, a passer rating of 62. Pretty damn bad career, if we're being honest here, for the Weinkinator, but, perseverance, leadership. Obviously, he had to be a pretty solid locker room guy for him to be in the NFL as long as he was, for how old he already was and the stats that he had. He would end up transitioning to coaching and mentoring quarterbacks at both the collegiate and the professional level. His journey from baseball to football to coaching remains a very unique story in our sporting world. And Chris Weinke, if you were maybe 6 years younger when you came to the NFL, maybe you could have been a bigger star. But, well, you're an old shark. All right, sluts, you know the drill. If you want more of these, you guys got to drop me a like, drop me a comment, a sub, tell me you hate me, the whole 9 yards. Give me some sort of indication to keep making these, and I will keep making these. I love it when you guys comment old forgotten quarterbacks as well. It's like a fun little community that we're building here of unks and old heads and new people that all just love forgotten players. So make sure you guys join my Discord server. That'll be in the description. Follow me on Instagram, all the other social media plugs, blah, blah, blah. I run a wrestling company, blah, blah, blah. Enjoy these flag football highlights that I'm probably going to insert while I'm talking about the self-promo. And make sure you smoke crack and eat drywall. Thanks, y'all.